Hey guys, how's it going? Got something different for you this week. I've got an interview with my friend Logan, who I just met at Overland Expo, and he has a really cool story that I thought you guys might be interested in. He had some circumstances happen to him. He took advantage of those circumstances, and now he is on a 1 year journey traveling out of his Toyota Tacoma, living on the road, meeting people, and interviewing them. So we thought we'd turn the tables and interview him. Hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think about these, if you like this kind of stuff or not, whether you'd like to see more of them. Here's Logan.
I told him, well, I was planning to do this in August, but since I lost my job 24 hours ago, now I think I should probably start now. When I got the call, it was difficult at first, but within a couple hours, I was seeing the opportunity there. Because at the end of the day, I was really playing it safe, and I think I need to save more money. Let me work for 3 more months and find some more work, and it's really doable with the circumstances that you're in now.
Yeah. So this is what we promised you. We're going to talk with Logan and get an idea of his lifestyle, what made him kind of get into backpacking and that kind of stuff, and some of his philosophies on life, and maybe some of the people that you follow that have influenced you to do this kind of adventure. And we're in the, I guess we're going to call this a sun roamer studio because it's pretty windy outside. So I thought it'd be kind of nice to bring you guys inside.
I really like that. Sun roamer studio is perfect.
Right. Might have to start a podcast.
Can we copyright that? Sun roamer studio. Yeah, man. So pretty quick summary of what I'm up to right now. So I spent my 20s road tripping around the States. But I've lived my whole life in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
East Tennessee, near the Smokies. And early 2023, like late winter, early spring 2023, I had some pretty difficult work burnout. Okay. And so I was able to kind of mentally work through it, and I kept working through the whole summer. But I was planning a sabbatical. So I took a 3-month trip to Europe, and I've ended up going to 10 countries, 25 cities.
Wow.
And the intention with that was to then come back to Knoxville and just keep working. And, it was just to give me a little bit of a break.
Right. Were you in the same industry when that kind of breakdown sabbatical happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've been working in television for 7 years now.
Okay.
Primarily art department is what I do. But I'm also a writer and a photographer and a musician. So I play in bands around town. I'm a drummer.
Nice.
So that's kind of been like a side gig for me. And then prior to television, I was a reporter and a photographer. Traveling first out of a RAV4, and now I have a Tacoma, which I've had for 4 years. So I've done multiple month and a half road trips.
Okay.
But currently I'm on a 4-month road trip in the States, and then I'll do 8 months out of the country, going to different countries. Nice. So I'm on a full year trip. I moved out of my home in Knoxville and living on the road full time now, and then I'll be living in other countries for at least eight months, but possibly more.
Wow.
I'm using my savings to kind of invest in this 1-year project. So I'm kind of combining all of my skills and my interests and my passions into this project for this year.
Awesome.
So with this 1 year of travel, I started a YouTube channel. Been doing it for about 2 months.
And what's the name of the YouTube channel?
It's called Logan Let's Go.
Awesome.
And the gist of it is that I interview really unique and amazing people that I meet when I travel.
Right.
I love to make friends when I travel. I meet so many cool people, and I've been doing that for years, but I never filmed any of it.
Right.
So since I have those skill sets, I'm just kind of putting it all into this project, and it gives me something to work on for a year. After a full year trip, maybe I'll have 50 or 100 stories of people that I've met. And my goal is to keep it going, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if I choose not to, for whatever reason, then I have, a year's worth of stories to look back on that I can share with my kids and my grandkids. And
absolutely. Cool people you met along the road and what crazy things they've done. And
and I guess we should talk about that. The people that I end up kind of naturally being drawn to are people who are similar to me, and so it's really been a lot of like musicians, artists, makers, and travelers.
Okay.
Those are kind of the people that spark my curiosity.
Yeah.
And I don't book out a lot of my stories. I have a few that I've set up, but for the most part, it's totally spontaneous.
Yeah.
I just allow my curiosity to lead me to people, and sometimes people just walk in my life. Already on this trip, I'm only less than 3 weeks in, and I already have shot maybe 6 or 7 stories now.
Right. Yeah.
In like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, really interesting. We were talking, really just getting to know each other, talking about, he came up here the first day, and my friends, the Hearts, were up here, and I just mentioned their brief story to him, but he found it so interesting. He just immediately went over there and said hello and introduced himself, and they may actually end up, if they have opportunity to connect together, he's going to be possibly talking about their stories.
And it's not like, it's not like I meet somebody and instantly I'm like, we got to film something.
Right.
Absolutely. I hang out, we chat.
Kind of got to get that vibe if that's something that...
and I've found that people are so open to that. People love to talk about themselves and share their story, and it's genuine interest.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to ask to film a story with somebody if I don't find it interesting to me personally.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's genuine curiosity and interest there, and I think that's obvious. People can feel that authenticity and that realness when you're just hanging out, getting to know somebody, and then say, "Hey, man, wow, you got a cool story. Maybe we should film it." And so that's what happened with meeting Brad at the Overland Expo in Flagstaff. Yeah. Well, and we can get into that kind of my influence for my video style, right?
Yeah.
So
I've really enjoyed it, and I've been able to see it because we spent some time together filming my story, and I got to see how you did that. So if you want to kind of check out his style, definitely check out his YouTube channel. And I watched a couple of his stories and saw the one that you did on the expo. Yeah, that was really cool. So yeah, make sure and check out his channel for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of my influence is, I am not trying to be cinematic. Yeah. Yes, I have a history in television and film, but I worked in the art department. I wasn't running the cameras. Yeah, right. But I've always been a photographer. I've always had an eye for a camera. But the style in which I want to shoot my stories is, I'm really influenced by people like Peter Santinello. Okay. And I also enjoy Small Brained American. Kurt Kaz is a fun one. These are like international travel vloggers that put themselves in their stories.
Gotcha.
And they all have a different style. And Peter Santinello is my favorite because he uses people, locals, to tell the story of a place.
Okay.
And I think I am so similar to him in his curiosity. You can really feel it in his videos. Yeah. And he also has a lot of compassion for people, and he's interested in meeting people of all walks of life. Yeah. And for me, rather than being more focused on a place and using people to tell that story, I am interested in the individual.
Gotcha.
And I love to travel, and I love to go to new places, of course, but I really am most interested in the people that I meet in those places and their individual personal stories.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
So if I had to make a comparison, I would say that like Peter Santinello, I really look up to him a lot.
Someone I'll have to check out.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of travel vloggers that they put themselves at the center of it, and it's kind of about their experience. But Peter Santinello he includes himself, but he's using other people to tell the story of a place, and it's all about the place and not really about him. Okay. So while my channel, I think, has a little bit of elements of like what I'm up to and my perspective on a place, but then it's really the focus is the people that I meet.
Gotcha.
And then just to give a shout out, I'm a huge fan of Beau Miles. He's an Australian adventurer, filmmaker, YouTuber, I think he's the best at kind of his video essays, telling a story, crafting a narrative. He's a great writer.
Okay.
And Van Neistat, I also really look up to as well in that world.
Yeah.
So those guys are
Gotcha.
less, I guess, international, like travel focused, and more on telling a story kind of in one place.
Yeah.
So Bo's, a lot of his content is just in Australia, often in his backyard. His nickname is the Backyard Adventurer because he spent his whole 20s like on these crazy kayaking trips, and then decided, oh wait, let me create these endurance adventurous challenges at home in his backyard.
Okay. That's actually pretty important to think about, because I grew up in Colorado. I grew up around Durango, Colorado, Silverton, Colorado, and all that. But it's kind of funny. As I was growing up, I never explored my own backyard. It was always this idea to go someplace else and see something else. And I was going to ask you about that, because I've heard a lot about like the Great Smoky Mountains, And when you said that, I was going to ask you, have you ventured into the Smokies and gotten to know your own backyard?
Great question, man. Yeah, it is a funny thing that happens when you live for so long in one place. You get so used to it, and then you kind of revisit your favorite spots.
Yes.
And maybe there's other pockets of your town or your region that you miss because you don't think to treat it like a new place.
Right, exactly. The reason I brought that up is like sometimes we do look at adventure travel as being outside our back door. And if you're just getting started at this, and we talked about this earlier when we were looking at your rig, is the opportunity just to take what you've got and go and see how you enjoy that type of lifestyle before you make some big commitment to build some kind of rig or outfit some rig or spend thousands of dollars. And being able just to venture close into your own area, find those mountains and those hills and different things, and just go see if it's for you.
Totally. Yeah.
Start there.
I told you this story earlier, but I think it's great, and I'm going to repeat it. The first video I did on my channel is with this guy Shaggy. He's been living out of his van that he custom built for 5 years. He's such a charismatic dude. It was such a fun story to shoot. But something that was so cool that he told me was before he had built out his van, he knew he wanted to live out of a vehicle.
Okay.
But he didn't want to build out a van before testing it.
Right.
So he packed up his little sedan and spent a whole summer, like 3 or 4 months in Utah.
That's awesome.
And that was his prototype run to know, do I even like living out of a car? Yeah, then when he loved that, then he invested in building out the van and learned all the skills to do it just like you did. Yeah. So, it's I think it's great to do rather than building out the van first before you spend a week living in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or buying a purpose-built vehicle for that and not knowing whether that's something you're really going to enjoy or not.
Yeah.
Or use enough to make it worthwhile.
You were asking me earlier, some personal influences, and I mentioned a couple of YouTubers, but I will say that the book that really got me started to take that 3-month sabbatical to go to Europe for 3 months was Vagabonding by Rolf Potts.
Okay.
Probably the most impactful book I've ever read. And the reason I say that is because as I started reading it, everything was just jumping off the page to me. And it was because I realized that, I'm built like this.
Right, gotcha.
And the book is not a how-to on how to save money and budget travel in other countries. It's not a how-to book.
Okay.
It is a travel philosophy and mindset book. And a lot of people know this book. It's kind of people have compared Rolf Potts to like Jack Kerouac, but on an international scale. Okay. He's an amazing travel writer, and he's lived all over the world. But his mindset and his philosophy towards travel is so important, I think, for anybody that's interested in going to other countries, because you grow up in one culture in one place, and then it's good to kind of obviously have an open mind anywhere you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that book is all about that. Yeah. Yeah, and also be okay being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, like, I have grown over the years to genuinely enjoy public transportation. You know, like, airports don't stress me out, man.
Yeah.
Like, just get there a little early. While I haven't experienced, you know, a super packed, hot, sweaty 12-hour bus ride in Thailand yet.
Right.
So I don't know what that's
Yet.
like. But I think, you know, it's having the mindset of like, yeah, this is an experience. This is a local experience. And, you know, so when I was in Europe for 3 months, I took buses and trains everywhere.
Yeah,
That was great. And I tried to go to smaller towns, not just big cities. You know, as Americans, we don't have a lot of time off work.
Yeah.
So if you only have 2 weeks off work, it makes sense. If you want to go to Europe, you want to do Paris and Amsterdam and Berlin, you want to hit 3 big cities, you know. But I would encourage anybody to, if you can, try to go to some smaller towns too. Yeah, traveling more slowly.
Yeah.
Sitting in
More
a place for a
purposefully.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I could definitely be better at that because I am very much a go type person.
Yeah.
You know, the longest I stayed in a place on that trip, I was in Budapest, I think, for 6 nights. Okay. So that was a pretty good chunk of time.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you really want to get to know a place, then you got to stay for a month.
Right.
So I say I like to travel slowly, but compared to real slow travel, I'm not doing that yet.
Yeah.
You know, so that's
takes
something.
more time too. So more time, more planning, more finances.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Well, it can actually be cheaper to sit in one place rather than constantly moving.
That's true. That's absolutely true. I found that out living on the road, the way that I travel. You know, I get away for under $1,000 a month the way I travel.
Yeah, man. The way in which you travel is really unique. I think that you're living out of your rig full time, but then you'll go and post up in one spot for 2 weeks, and you get to really know the area, hiking around, biking around. That's really cool. You know, that takes a lot of patience, and maybe you're built for that.
Yeah.
You know,
and I get it because it can be boring. I love when I get to meet people like yourself when I'm camping. You know, it's just awesome. You get to hear stories. You get to hear what they're going through in their life and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I like the breaks.
Oh, it's funny how many like-minded people you meet when you put yourself in places that you really want to be in.
Yeah.
Spending a couple months bouncing around other countries, you meet other solo travelers that are doing the same thing.
Yeah, okay.
And you're like-minded in that way, and you can have these conversations about what that's like and why you love it so much, you know, and why certain people are built for that.
Yeah.
And then even here in the backcountry, yesterday we had a photographer roll up.
Yeah.
This guy from Phoenix, and shout out to Kyle. Yeah, Kyle spent his whole 20s living out of a backpack, traveling around.
Right.
And now he's a professional photographer. You know, 10 years later, has a really solid career.
Yeah.
And but he has a lot of experience all over the world.
Yeah,
you know, and so it's something you can kind of bond over.
Yeah.
But it's funny that the point I was getting to is that because we're here, like-minded people in the backcountry with our trucks, then somebody rolls up who's built the same way. He's the very similar type of guy, you know. So you put yourself in places that you really want to be in, and then people that are like you are automatically attracted to those same places. Living in one city for my whole life, I think a natural result of that made me want to explore and get out, you know, because home is nice and refreshing when you leave for a while and come back. So that was kind of a natural result or falling in love with travel was kind of a natural result of being in one place for so long. But then there was also the combination of loving road tripping, loving backpacking trips, and then the third aspect is that I've also followed a band all around the country for years.
Oh, how cool.
So
not the Grateful Dead.
No, but a lot of people would compare Fish to the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
And there's another younger band called Goose that I really like that I've seen a lot as well.
That had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and you know, I as much as I love getting out here and in wild places, I also really love cities and towns, and so and I love music venues. So following these bands around has introduced me to cities that I probably never would have visited
Right.
without that excuse to go there.
Yep.
So, you know, my love of live music has brought me to a lot of places. It's
Right.
really a combination of travel and going to shows and music. You know, it's not, I'm not just going to the show. I'm going to the show and then I'm going to stay in this place
Nice.
and experience a new town. Yeah, so, you know, shout out to these New England jam bands that introduced me to the world.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we can get into how I explore a specific town or city.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that I put a lot of thought and effort into, trying to be more intentional with that. Like, I am a very spontaneous person, so I'm not a great planner. So when I plan my road trips, I have a general route.
Okay.
I know where I want to go, but I totally allow things to change as I meet people that introduce me to areas or make suggestions like you should go here.
Right.
So much of my routes on all my trips have really been created by the people I meet.
Gotcha.
You know,
Okay.
and I might still
That's
try to
cool.
follow along my general path that I had
Right.
planned, but sometimes it totally changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was,
You weren't coming up here.
no. But then I talked to people at Expo, said,
Yeah.
"Oh, you got to go to the edge of the world," and then I messaged you, and I was curious, where are you at? You were here at this
Edge of
place
the
that was
world.
already recommended to me. But yeah, man, even like, you know, on a smaller scale, being just in a city or town, rather than having an itinerary of, oh, here's all the places I want to go to,
Right.
here's all the places on Google Maps that I've saved. You know, I do a little bit of that, but a lot of it is just kind of roaming around, and that's
cool.
the beauty of the bicycle.
Yes.
I get on a bike, I cruise, and then oh, that looks cool, let me go over here. That looks cool, let me go over here. And we talk to a couple locals, and then they recommend I should go eat at this burrito place, you know. Or if it's a small flat town and I'm stopping for a shorter amount of time, like let's say I'm just passing through
Yeah.
Kansas, right? I take my skateboard out, and that's an easy way to see like a little bit of a downtown area really quickly.
Yeah.
And then of course, if I'm in another country, I don't have a bike or a skateboard, then I just walk everywhere. I mean, I walk in Prague, dude, I was there for 5 days, and I think I walked into every little different neighborhood I could find.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've looked up to Tynan for a year or so now after I discovered his blog. And I found the blog around the same time that I started reading Vagabonding by Rolf Potts.
Okay.
You know, that's a natural response to digging around online, looking for other people that have spent multiple months living in other countries, traveling out of a backpack. So yeah, I signed up for that event. Lost my job 2 hours before I was to get on a plane to go to Vegas. The event was structured where I was one of 8 guys, and we sat in a circle, and each of us had a 1 hour, like kind of one-on-one with Tynan. So after I pitched my plan, which was to start my YouTube channel and start this 1-year trip,
Yeah.
I had told him, you know, well, I was planning to do this in August, but since I lost my job 24 hours ago, now I think I should probably start now. And he said, well, why are you here? How can I help you? Like, he was very encouraging. He's like, you know, this is a great plan, man. And he told me, he said, I think it's really cool that you lost your job.
Right.
Like, that's a great way to start this project. You know, you needed a kick out the door.
Yeah.
You know, he told me, it sounds like you've been really hesitant to start, and you've been too cautious, and you've been too comfortable in your hometown, you know, and so why not get started now?
Right.
And so he gave me a challenge. He said, before you leave Vegas, and I was only there for 3 days, before you leave, you have to film your first story. And so that's where I met Shaggy, the guy with the van that we talked about, and I filmed my first story with him, and now I'm 15 videos in, I think, in a little under 2 months.
That's awesome.
And rolling right along. It's been amazing. Another challenge that Tynan gave me was, he said, you always need to have 5 stories, you know, kind of in the bank.
Okay.
So I have, right now, I think, I'm sitting on like 7 stories I need to edit.
Wow.
That I've already shot. So that's kind of my goal, is I want to make sure I always have a backlog.
That's
so
great.
that, you know, if there's, let's say there's a week or two where I don't find a good story,
Yeah.
I have
You still
plenty
have something.
to
Yeah.
keep putting out. When I got the call, it was difficult at first, but within a couple of hours, I was seeing the opportunity there, you know, because at the end of the day, I was really playing it safe, and oh yeah, let me work for another 6 months, and you know what would have happened? I probably would have got to that point and gone, oh well, I think I need to save more money. Let me work for 3 more months and find some more work, and you know, I think if anyone's really excited to start a project, but they're hesitant because of A, B, or C, it's like, it's really doable with the circumstances that you're in now.
Any other final,
Yeah.
you know, advice that you have for somebody thinking about getting on the road? Or
Yeah, I think if I was to give any advice to just getting started was something that took me a whole, you know, year or two to kind of get mentally prepared for.
Yeah.
And I think I wasted some time, like, researching and reading and preparing myself mentally, and, you know, oh, let me take this trip to Europe for 3 months, and a lot of it was really just delaying getting started on this project.
Gotcha.
You know, and I think that comes from the fear of putting out, you know, mediocre work, or something that you, when you compare it to the greats,
Yes.
or whoever you know, admire, it's like, yeah, you're not going to be playing music that is of the highest
caliber.
quality
Yeah.
yet. Like, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And so do your very best.
Yeah.
But don't kill yourself on putting out, you know, one creation that took you 2 years to make because it has to be perfect. It's like, when you get started, the goal is that hopefully 6 months later, a year later, you look back on your early work and you can kind of cringe at it and say, oh man, that was not very good.
Yep.
But that's a good thing. That means you've improved.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Everyone's heard that before. I think it's just a really important message and reminder to remember to just start. Just start making something that you really want to make. Put your A game into it, and make sure that it's also, you know, genuine for you. And like,
I was just going to say that because it's so cool to see how you've transferred into YouTube and your vlogging, but it's part of who you are. It's just an extension of who you are. And so it's come, even though it was difficult to start, it's become more natural.
Yeah.
And
it reminds me of a short essay by Kevin Kelly called 1,000 True Fans.
Yep.
Everybody should read that. It is so inspiring. It's a short little essay, and the gist of it is that there is a little pocket of the internet. There's a niche for just about anything. Even if you have the most specific interest, you know, you really like to make, you know, handcrafted painted doorknobs. I don't know, something so random. Like, there is a market for it somewhere. And 1,000 True Fans means that if you have 1,000 people that love your work, that will give you $100 a year, that's $100,000 in your pocket.
Wow.
You know, so not that we are creating just to make money, but like,
but it's part of it.
If that's what you want to do, it's a good reminder to have. You know, you don't need 1 million followers.
Yeah.
You just need to make really good stuff that 1,000 people or 2,000 people really, really love.
Yeah.
You know.
For sure.
And that's inspiring.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I said, I've got friends that are out there that have that, and it allows them to enjoy and do the things that they want to do, and then take their audience along.
And I think it's important too to really pay attention to what are all of your skills, and how can you put all of your skills and interests into one project. You know, that's what I did for this year. But of course, I have to leave one thing out, and that's, I'm a drummer. I love to play music, but you know, I kind of got to put that on the back burner for a year. You know, I'm not going to be.
Might need a bigger, but I mean, I could see, you know, you have full size hats and everything. I had a rig this size.
If I had this rig, I would put a drum set in it.
Yeah,
for sure. So yeah, I mean, I think I'll try to seek out some, you know, some music that maybe I can sit in and
Yeah.
hop in. I mean, who knows? But yeah, that was a tough decision to go, okay, I'm not going to play a gig for a whole year.
Right.
You know, that's pretty hard. And I'm already dreaming about when I return back to Knoxville, Tennessee at the end of this trip. You know, I'm already dreaming about the gig I want to set up and the people I want to play with,
Nice.
and, you know, the songs I want to play. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, I would say you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. Just go for it. Like,
Yeah.
life is
absolutely.
short. Just really just go for whatever you really want to do, then just do it.
Yeah.
And make mistakes and learn from those mistakes.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's okay to feel like an idiot at first. Everybody does when they start. And, you know, I had a friend text me the other day saying, he said, I'm really impressed with how comfortable you are on camera already.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad it comes across like that, because sometimes I don't know if I feel comfortable on camera
And it
yet.
seems like you're just comfortable around people, and I think that's translated into your ability to feel comfortable on camera.
Yeah.
Because you're not focusing on the camera, you really are focusing on the people and their story, and that's genuinely coming through.
I want to feel like whoever I'm hanging out with, we're just hanging out,
Yeah.
and I'm filming it, and whoever's watching is just hanging out with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of the vibe I'm going for.
Yeah.
People have stories. you
Yeah.
know. Someone's
Absolutely.
life is a story,
Yeah.
and it's always interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Absolutely.
Well, man, thanks for having me on. This was really fun.
Yeah, dude.
And,
I enjoyed it.
You know, we've been up here for 3 days hanging out.
Yeah,
and got to know
and
each
he's
other.
got to take off and go on his journey still,
Yeah.
so, you know, we're going to let him go.
Yep, I'm impatient. On to the next place.
Right on. Very cool, bud.
Yeah.
Next
yeah,
time,
Cool.
we'll see each other on the road again.
Of course.
Hey, guys, thanks for joining us on this and meeting Logan. Make sure and check out his Instagram, his YouTube. Your Instagram is the same also, right?
Yeah, Logan Let's Go. YouTube is just at Logan Let's Go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'll put the link down there so you can check it out. And we'll put the link so you can check out our interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Cool.